Maya Torres lay chest to chest with a dead stranger in negative 14-degree air. Her core temperature was 89 degrees, hypothermia shutting down her organs. She had maybe 6 minutes left. 52 people stood 15 feet away, filming on their phones, including a Coast Guard officer, 2 paramedics, and a swim coach. Not one had entered the water. Maya was 25, homeless, hadn't eaten in 4 days, owned nothing but the clothes freezing to her skin. The boy beneath her had no pulse, no breath, skin like ice. She kept giving him her warmth anyway. Because that's what Army medics do. They don't abandon casualties, even when they're the only one willing to die trying. Please subscribe and share this story to remind people what real courage looks like. Leave a comment telling us what city you're watching from so we can see how far this message travels. Now, here's what happened when those 52 phones started recording. 6 hours earlier, Saturday morning, February 8th, 8:43 a.m. Maya woke up in the back seat of her Ford Focus with frost covering the inside of every window. Her breath came out in white clouds that hung in the air like ghosts. The sleeping bag she'd gotten from a church donation bin 4 months ago wasn't rated for Michigan winter. Wasn't rated for anything, really. She was so cold her fingers had gone completely numb. Outside, the temperature read negative 11 degrees. Inside, maybe 18. Cold enough to kill you if you stayed too long. Maya sat up slowly, every muscle screaming. That's what happens when you sleep in a car for 3 years. Your body starts breaking down in ways you don't notice until you try to move. She'd parked in the Riverside park lot overnight. Public parking, no enforcement in winter, close enough to the public restroom that she could walk there once it opened at 6 a.m. But she'd overslept. The library opened at 9 on Saturdays. She had 16 minutes. Maya pulled on her jeans over the sweatpants she'd slept in. Layering. That's how you survive Michigan winter in a car. Every piece of clothing you own, all at once. Her phone, cracked iPhone 7, battery at 3%, showed 4 missed calls from a number she didn't recognize. Bill collectors, probably. She'd stopped answering those 2 years ago. She grabbed her backpack. Inside, change of clothes, toothbrush, deodorant, hairbrush, the basics. Everything else she owned was in the trunk, which wasn't much. The walk to the public restroom was 60 yards. Might as well have been 60 miles in this cold. Maya's breath burned in her lungs. The wind coming off the Detroit River cut through her jacket like it wasn't there, because it basically wasn't. Army surplus from a thrift store, torn lining, broken zipper. She made it to the restroom. The door was unlocked. Small mercy. Inside, she brushed her teeth with cold water that made her gums ache, washed her face, changed her shirt, put on deodorant, brushed her hair and pulled it into a ponytail. Looked at herself in the mirror. 25 years old. Looking closer to 45. Dark circles under her eyes like bruises. Cheekbones too prominent from not eating enough. Skin pale from 3 years of not seeing sunlight without first searching for a place to sleep. But her eyes were the worst part. They were the eyes of someone who'd stopped expecting good things to happen. Maya touched the small bulge in her jeans pocket. The Army medic badge. Bronze, 2 inches across, from basic training 7 years ago. She carried it everywhere, every single day. It was the only proof she'd ever mattered. She left the restroom at 8:51 a.m. 9 minutes to get to the library before it opened. The walk took her past Riverside Community Church. Beautiful building, stone facade, stained glass windows, sign out front. All are welcome. Maya had tried that welcome once, 5 months ago. She'd gone to their Sunday service, sat in the back, stayed quiet. Just wanted to be warm for an hour, to be around people who weren't afraid of her. After the service, she'd approached the church secretary, asked if they knew about any shelters with space. The woman, mid-50s, wearing a cross necklace, kind face that turned cold fast, had looked at Maya like she was a problem to solve. "We have a homeless outreach program," the woman said, "but it's for people actively trying to improve their situation. Are you looking for work? Have you applied anywhere?" Maya swallowed. "I'm a paramedic. I lost my license. I'm trying to get it reinstated, but..." "Well, that's the problem, isn't it? You need to take responsibility for your choices. The Bible says God helps those who help themselves." Maya had left. She hadn't been back. Now, walking past that same church in -11-degree weather, Maya felt the same thing she'd felt that day. Not just unseen. Erased. The library opened at 9 a.m. Maya was waiting at the door when the librarian, Mrs. Patterson, gray hair, reading glasses on a chain, unlocked it. "Good morning, Maya," Mrs. Patterson said quietly. "Morning." It was the only human interaction she'd have all day, the only person who knew her name anymore. Maya spent the next 8 hours the same way she spent every day, reading, staying warm, charging her phone at the public outlet, using the bathroom, trying not to make eye contact with anyone who might recognize her. Because some people did recognize her. Traverse City wasn't that big. Detroit metro area was huge, but the waterfront communities were small, tight-knit. Everyone knew everyone's business. And 3 years ago, Maya Torres had been someone. Army veteran, recent paramedic grad, working at Detroit Metro Hospital, future ahead of her. Then Vincent Cardwell happened. Maya tried not to think about it, but sitting in a library with medical journals she couldn't use anymore, it was hard not to remember. November 3rd, 2021. Walter Harrison, 71 years old, Vietnam veteran, came to the ER at 10:47 p.m. complaining of severe abdominal pain and dizziness. Maya had been his paramedic, had taken his vitals, had documented everything. Blood pressure critically low, 87/52. Heart rate elevated at 118. Rigid abdomen. Classic presentation for internal bleeding. She'd told Vincent Cardwell, hospital administrator, former Army colonel, decorated combat surgeon, that she suspected a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm, recommended immediate CT scan and surgical consult. Cardwell had looked at the chart for maybe 30 seconds. "It's constipation," he said. "Give him a laxative and send him home." "Sir, his blood pressure is..." "I said it's constipation. Are you questioning my medical judgment?" Maya had documented her concerns. Had written in the chart, "Paramedic assessment suggests possible AAA rupture. Recommend urgent CT and vascular surgery consult." Cardwell had overruled her, sent Walter Harrison home with Miralax and stool softeners. 8 hours later, Walter Harrison died in his bathroom. Ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm. Bled out internally in less than 4 minutes. His daughter found him at 7 a.m. The family sued. The hospital settled for $1.2 million. And Vincent Cardwell, decorated Army colonel, hospital administrator, county medical board member, blamed Maya. He testified that Maya gave him incorrect patient history, that she told him the abdominal pain was from constipation, that she appeared impaired on duty, that he smelled alcohol on her breath. All lies. But who was the medical board going to believe? A decorated Army colonel with 24 years of experience, or a 22-year-old paramedic fresh out of school? Maya's license was revoked in March 2022. She lost her job, lost her apartment, lost her car payment ability, lost her future. By July 2022, she was living in the Ford Focus, and Vincent Cardwell? He got a promotion, bought a second house, lived in a $920,000 lakefront property while Maya froze in parking lots. At 2:47 p.m., Maya's stomach growled so loud the man 2 tables over looked up from his laptop. She hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. Half a bagel she'd found in a trash can outside Panera. She had $4.73 in her checking account. Not enough for a meal. Not enough for anything. She ignored the hunger. She'd gotten good at that. At 4:30 p.m., the library announced it would close in 30 minutes. Maya gathered her things, charged her phone to 21%, better than 3, stepped outside into darkness and cold that felt like a physical attack. The walk back to her car was 4 blocks. She took the river path, longer but scenic. And sometimes seeing the water helped, reminded her that the world was bigger than a car and a parking lot. That's when she heard the sirens. Multiple emergency vehicles screaming past. Police, fire trucks, ambulances, all heading toward the waterfront. Maya's medic training kicked in immediately. Mass casualty event, major emergency. She should keep walking, should get to her car, should stay warm, should stay invisible. But her feet carried her toward the sirens, toward Riverside Marina, toward the crowd. She pushed through people in winter coats, people with hats and gloves and scarves, people who'd never spent a night in a car wondering if they'd freeze to death. Nobody noticed her pushing through. They were all focused on their phones, recording something. Maya reached the front of the crowd and saw him. A teenage boy, face down in the water, 50 feet from shore. Blue jacket spread around him like wings. One shoe floating. Ice broken all around him where he'd tried to climb out. And nobody, not one single person, was helping. Maya's training took over. Male, mid-teens, submerged approximately 5 minutes based on crowd formation. Water temperature approximately 34 degrees. Lips dark purple. No movement. Stage 3 hypothermia. Core temp dropping fast. 7 minutes total equals irreversible brain damage. She scanned the crowd. Saw a man in a Coast Guard jacket standing on the dock, arms crossed, phone to his ear, talking to someone. Not moving toward the water. Saw a younger guy in EMT gear, also on his phone. Calling 911 probably. Not moving toward the water. Saw a woman, Mrs. Brennan, Maya's old swim coach from high school, holding her phone up, recording. 52 people. Not one in the water. Maya looked at the boy, looked at the crowd, looked at her hands. These hands had saved lives in combat medicine training, had performed CPR on practice dummies, had learned trauma protocols from medics who'd seen war. These hands hadn't saved anyone in 3 years. But they remembered how. Maya dropped her backpack. Everything she owned hit the frozen ground with a thud. People near her flinched, moved away, like her poverty might be contagious. Maya's hands went to her pocket, found the Army medic badge, the one thing that still meant something. She pinned it inside her jeans pocket. If I die out there, at least they'll know I tried. She pulled off her boots, tossed her jacket, kept her thermal shirt and jeans. "Ma'am, don't," a man's voice behind her, the Coast Guard officer. "Rescue team is 4 minutes away." Maya didn't answer, didn't look back. She stepped onto the ice. The surface groaned under her weight, 115 pounds spread over 2 feet. It held, barely. Maya took another step. Her socks immediately soaked through from melted ice. The cold shot through her feet like electricity. "Someone stop her!" a woman shouted. But nobody did. They just kept filming. Maya tested each step. 5 feet. 10. The ice cracked beneath her. Spiderweb patterns spreading out. The sound like gunfire. 15 feet. 20. Her heart hammered, every instinct screaming to turn back, to get off this ice before it killed her. But the boy was 35 feet ahead, and he had maybe 90 seconds left. 25 feet. 30. The cold was coming up through her feet, up her legs, into her core. Her teeth started chattering. 35 feet. 40. Almost there. The ice gave way. Maya went through waist deep. The water wasn't wet. It was knives, stabbing into every inch of skin. Her lungs seized. Her heart stuttered. Her vision went white. She gasped, choked, nearly went under. But she was close enough now. Close enough to reach him. Maya grabbed the boy's jacket collar, flipped him face up. His eyes were half open, rolled back, lips not just purple, black, blue-black, the color of death. She checked his neck for a pulse. Nothing. No breathing, no heartbeat. Core temperature maybe 79 degrees. Clinically dead. But not irreversibly dead. Not yet. Maya got one arm across his chest, started the side stroke kick, combat life-saving. They'd drilled it in basic training. Never thought she'd use it. Back toward shore. The ice kept breaking under their combined weight. She used her free elbow to smash through, creating a path. Her muscles were shutting down. The cold was too much, too fast. Hypothermia creeping into her own core now. 15 feet from shore, something hit the water next to her. A rope. Someone, finally was helping. Maya grabbed it with numb fingers, held the boy against her chest with her other arm. Someone pulled, hard. They dragged both of them through the broken ice, through the freezing water, toward the beach. Maya's knees hit sand. Hands reached down, pulled the boy onto solid ground. Maya crawled after him, fell onto the snow, shaking so hard she couldn't stand. The boy wasn't breathing. No pulse. Dying. Sarah's hands moved on autopilot. 22 years old when she lost her license, but 7 years of training don't disappear. She ripped his jacket open, pulled off his soaked Detroit Red Wings jersey, number 19. His skin was white as paper, fingers blue-black at the tips. "What is she doing?" someone in the crowd yelled. Maya ignored them, stripped his wet jeans off, his shoes, socks, everything. Then she pulled off her own thermal shirt. The crowd gasped. Down to her sports bra in -14-degree air. Maya wrapped the boy in her jacket, grabbed her sleeping bag from the backpack someone had brought over, wrapped him in that, then lay down next to him, chest to chest, skin to skin. Gave him her warmth, the only thing she had left to give. "She's trying to warm him with her body," someone whispered. "In this cold, they'll both die." Maybe. But Maya was an army medic, and army medics don't abandon casualties. She checked his pulse again. Nothing. Started rescue breathing. 2 breaths every 30 seconds. Keep oxygen moving to the brain. Her own core temperature was dropping fast. 98 degrees. 96. 93. The shivering became violent. Her vision blurred. But she held on. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The boy's skin felt like ice against hers, but slowly, degree by degree, she felt it change. His temp creeping up. 80 degrees. 81. 3 minutes. 4. Maya's lips turned blue. Her hands shook so badly she could barely maintain contact. "Someone needs to pull her off," a man said. "She's dying." "Don't touch her," another voice said. "She knows what she's doing." Maya didn't know if that was true. She just knew she couldn't stop. 5 minutes. 6. The boy's temperature hit 83 degrees. His pupils constricted slightly. Brainstem responding. Still no pulse. Still not breathing on his own. 7 minutes. Maya's core temperature hit 89 degrees. Dangerously hypothermic. Her thoughts starting to fragment. She focused on the boy's face. Young. 16, maybe 17. Freckles. Sandy hair frozen to his forehead like ice crystals. Somebody's son. Somebody's whole world. 8 minutes. The boy's chest jerked. Once. Maya checked his pulse. There. Faint, but there. "He's got a pulse!" she tried to shout. It came out as a whisper. 9 minutes. His breathing started. Shallow. Gasping. But breathing. 10 minutes. Sirens arriving. Paramedics running across the sand. "Ma'am, let go. We'll take him." Maya's fingers wouldn't release, locked in place from the cold. "Ma'am, you need to let go." A paramedic gently pried her hands away, wrapped her in a blanket. Another paramedic checked the boy's vitals. "Pulse 49, breathing shallow. Core temp approximately 84 degrees. He's coming back." Maya collapsed. Hypothermic. Shaking. Aware enough to see them load the boy onto a gurney. Alive. She'd done it. 13 minutes. Then everything went black. Maya woke in an ambulance, wrapped in warming blankets that felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds. IV in her arm, heart monitor beeping. The sound too loud, too close. Across from her, the boy was on another gurney. Oxygen mask, more IVs, paramedics working. But alive. "What's your name?" a paramedic asked. Young guy, maybe 30. Kind eyes. Maya Torres." "You family?" "No." "Then why?" Maya looked at the boy, at the stranger she'd nearly died for. "Because no one else did." The paramedic followed her gaze to her soaked jeans draped over the bench, to the Army medic badge pinned to the pocket. "You kept that badge all this time?" Maya's voice was barely there. "It's who I am." At Detroit Metro Hospital, they wheeled Maya into the ER. The same ER where she'd worked 3 years ago. The same hallways she'd walked as a paramedic. Now she was here as a patient. A homeless patient. The nurse checking her in was young, maybe 28. Sarah didn't recognize her. Small mercy. "Name?" "Maya Torres." The nurse typed, paused, looked at the screen, looked at Maya. "You were a paramedic here." Not a question, a statement. "I was." "What happened?" Maya closed her eyes. "Vincent Cardwell happened." The nurse's expression shifted. Something flickered across her face. Recognition, maybe. Or understanding. "I'm sorry," the nurse said quietly. "I've heard stories." Maya was too tired to ask what stories. Too cold to care. They moved her to a bay, hooked her up to monitors, wrapped her in heated blankets, started IV fluids. Her core temperature was 88 degrees. Dangerous. Another 30 minutes and she might not have made it. "The boy?" Maya asked. "Stable," the nurse said. "You saved his life. The paramedics said another 90 seconds and he would have been gone." Maya nodded, closed her eyes. She'd saved a life. For the first time in 3 years, she'd done what she was trained to do. It felt like remembering how to breathe. In the trauma bay next door, Danny Sullivan was surrounded by doctors, warming blankets, heat lamps, IV fluids run through warmers. Every intervention to bring his core temperature back up. Slowly. Too fast and his heart would stop. Rewarming shock. common in severe hypothermia. Dr. Patricia Chen stood over him, watching the monitors. 51 years old, chief of emergency medicine since Vincent Cardwell had been removed. She'd been the one to replace him. Had spent 2 years cleaning up the culture of fear he'd created. "Core temp 85 and climbing," a resident said. "Heart rate stable at 54, breathing on his own." Dr. Chen nodded. "Keep monitoring. If temp rises more than 1 degree every 30 minutes, slow the warming." She looked at Danny's face. This kid who'd been dead 13 minutes ago. Maya Torres had done this. The paramedic Cardwell destroyed. Dr. Chen had reviewed Maya's case file when she took over, had seen the nursing notes, the documentation, the recommendations Maya made that Cardwell ignored. Maya had been right. Cardwell had been wrong. And Maya lost everything for telling the truth. Now she'd saved a stranger's son with nothing but her own body heat and training she shouldn't have remembered after 3 years of homelessness. Dr. Chen made a decision. She walked to Maya's bay, pulled the curtain aside. Maya looked up, eyes red, shivering despite the heated blankets. "Miss Torres," Dr. Chen said. "I'm Dr. Chen. I replaced Vincent Cardwell as Chief of Emergency Medicine 2 years ago." Maya's face went carefully blank, defensive. "I reviewed your case file," Dr. Chen continued. "I know what happened. I know what he did to you. And I want you to know it was wrong. You were right about Walter Harrison. Cardwell was wrong. And he destroyed your career to hide his mistake." Maya's lip trembled. She bit down on it hard. "I can't undo what happened," Dr. Chen said. "But I can tell you that you just performed one of the most remarkable field rescues I've seen in 23 years of emergency medicine. Hypothermic rewarming using body heat. No equipment. In sub-zero temperatures. You saved that boy's life." Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. "You're still a medic," Dr. Chen said. "They took your license. They didn't take your skills. They didn't take who you are." Maya couldn't speak, could only cry. Dr. Chen put a hand on her shoulder. "Get warm. Get treated. When you're ready, if you want help getting your license reinstated, you call me." She handed Maya a business card. Then she left Maya alone with her tears. Rick Sullivan got the call at 4:23 p.m. He was at the clubhouse, road captain meeting, planning a charity ride for March. His phone rang. Unknown number. "Yeah?" "Mr. Sullivan, this is Detroit Metro Hospital. Your son Danny was brought in by ambulance. He's stable, but—" Rick didn't hear the rest. Was on his bike in 45 seconds. The hospital was 8 miles away. Rick covered it in 5 minutes. Parked in the ambulance bay, ran inside, found the ER desk. "Danny Sullivan, where is he?" The clerk checked. "Trauma Bay 2, but sir, you can't—" Rick was already moving. Through the double doors, down the hallway, following the signs. He found Danny behind a curtain, surrounded by equipment, oxygen mask over his face. But awake. Alive. Rick's knees nearly buckled. He walked to the bed, grabbed Danny's hand. His son's hand was cold. So cold. "Dad," Danny whispered under the mask. "I'm here. I'm right here." Dr. Chen appeared. "Mr. Sullivan." She introduced herself, explained what happened. "Your son fell through ice at Riverside Marina. He was submerged approximately 5 minutes. Core temperature dropped to 79 degrees. He was clinically dead when he reached shore." Rick's hand tightened on Danny's. "A woman pulled him out. Went into the water when approximately 52 bystanders stood watching. She performed hypothermic rewarming for 13 minutes using her own body heat. Saved his life." Rick looked at the doctor. "Where is she?" Next bay, being treated for hypothermia herself. She nearly died saving your son. Rick stood, looked at Danny. I'll be right back. He walked to the next bay, pulled the curtain aside. A young woman lay on the gurney, 25 maybe, thin, too thin. Dark circles under her eyes, wearing hospital scrubs because her own clothes were soaked. She looked up when Rick entered, flinched. Rick realized he must look terrifying. 6'3", leather jacket, tattoos, road captain patch visible. He made himself smaller, sat down in the chair next to the bed, put his hands where she could see them. You pulled my son out, he said, gentle as he could. Maya nodded, didn't speak. The doctor said you were in the water. Said you used your own body to warm him. Said you nearly died. Maya's voice was barely there. He needed help. 52 people were there. I know. None of them helped. I know. Rick looked at this young woman, this stranger who'd saved his son's life. What's your name? Maya. Maya Torres. Maya. Rick extended his hand. I'm Rick. My brothers call me Reaper. And I need you to understand something. You saved my son's life. That means I'm in your debt. Blood debt. You understand? Whatever you need. Anything. You tell me, and it's done. Maya looked at his hand, then at his face. She wasn't reaching for it. Rick understood. Someone had hurt her, made her afraid of men's hands. He lowered his hand, didn't push. I don't need anything, Maya said. Everyone needs something. Maya laughed, bitter, broken. You can't help me. Try me. She looked at him for a long moment, deciding. Then she told him everything. Vincent Cardwell, the patient who died, the falsified records, the medical board testimony claiming she was impaired on duty, the $1.2 million settlement that blamed her, the revoked license, the 1,127 days living in her car. Rick listened without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter, his hands curling into fists. When Maya finished, she said, So you see, there's nothing you can do. Cardwell is untouchable. He's hospital administrator, county medical board member, decorated Army colonel. Who's going to believe a homeless woman over him? Rick stood. Nobody's untouchable, he said. Give me 48 hours. You don't understand. I understand that you're a 25-year-old medic who got destroyed for telling the truth. I understand that a powerful man used his position to bury you. I understand that you've been invisible for 3 years while he got richer. Rick's voice was steady, calm. And I understand that you just saved my son when everyone else was afraid. That makes you family, and we protect family. He pulled out his phone, dialed, 3 rings. Iron Horse, it's Reaper. Marcus Webb's voice, deep, ex-FBI. Brother, what's good? I need every patched member within 100 miles at the clubhouse tonight, 9 p.m. Pause. What's happening? Someone saved Danny's life while 52 people filmed him dying. She's 25, homeless, former Army medic, former paramedic. A hospital administrator destroyed her career to cover his own malpractice. She's been living in a car for 3 years. Say no more, Iron Horse said. We're coming. Rick hung up, looked at Maya. 48 hours, he said. That's all I need. He walked out before she could argue. Rick made 6 more calls, same conversation each time. By 9 p.m. that night, 103 motorcycles filled the clubhouse parking lot. Traverse City. Chapter. 68 members. 23 drove down. Detroit chapter. 57 members. 41 showed up. Ann Arbor chapter. 32 members. 18 drove over. Lansing chapter. 29 members. 14 made it. Flint chapter. 41 members. 7 came down. 103 total. Biggest single mobilization in Michigan Hells Angels history. Some rode 100 miles in sub-zero temperatures because a brother called. Rick stood at the front of the room, 103 men in their cuts watching him. He told them what happened. The ice, the drowning, the 52 people filming, Maya going in, 13 minutes of body heat transfer. Danny alive because one homeless woman had more courage than everyone else combined. Then he told them about Cardwell, about Maya, about 1,127 days in a car. The room was silent when he finished. Then Hammer stood, Rick's uncle, 71 years old, founding member of the Detroit chapter. "What do we need?" Hammer asked. "Evidence," Rick said. "Witnesses, documentation. We build a case so solid that Cardwell goes to prison and Maya gets her license back." Iron Horse stood. Marcus Webb, former FBI investigator, 26 years with the Bureau. "I'll lead investigation. Financial records, hospital complaints, pattern of behavior." Doc stood. Leonard Hayes, Vietnam medic, 65 years old. "I'll verify Maya's story from a medical standpoint. Review the original case." Cypher stood. 28, IT specialist, youngest patched member. "Digital footprint, emails, texts, anything electronic that proves the cover-up." Prophet stood. Kevin Park, former social worker. "I'll work with Maya. Help her document everything she remembers." Rick looked around the room, at brothers who'd shown up because he called, who'd ridden through freezing temperatures because someone needed help. "We meet back here in 24 hours, Rick said. "Bring proof, bring witnesses, bring the truth." Hammer spoke. "All in favor?" Silence for exactly 3 seconds. Then every single hand went up. Not one hesitation. 103 men voting to help a woman they'd never met. Because that's what brotherhood means. Because protecting the vulnerable is sacred. Because Maya Torres saved one of their own. And blood debt gets repaid. Iron Horse started with financial records, public information, tax filings, property deeds. Vincent Cardwell, age 54, hospital administrator. Salary $412,000 annually. Total assets $3.1 million. 2 houses, one in Detroit Metro, $920,000. One in Traverse City, $480,000. 3 cars, Tesla Model S, BMW X5, Mercedes E-Class. Country club membership, yacht club membership, private golf course access. All on a hospital administrator's salary. Iron Horse dug deeper. Medicare billing records. Public through Freedom of Information Act requests. Cardwell's department showed unusual patterns. Higher than average billing codes. More expensive procedures. More complications. Either his patients were sicker than everyone else's, or someone was coding procedures that never happened. Iron Horse found his first thread. Doc reviewed Maya's original case file, requested through a lawyer friend. Medical malpractice cases are public record after settlement. He read Maya's nursing notes, time-stamped, documented in the electronic medical record system. Patient Walter Harrison, age 71. Chief complaint, severe abdominal pain, dizziness. Vital signs, BP 87/52, HR 118, RR 22, temperature 98.1. Physical exam, rigid abdomen, positive rebound tenderness, diminished bowel sounds. Assessment: possible ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm. Recommend immediate CT abdomen/pelvis with contrast and vascular surgery consult. Doc read Cardwell's notes, written 2 hours after Walter Harrison left the hospital. Patient presented with constipation, mild abdominal discomfort, vital signs within normal limits, administered laxative, discharged home with instructions. The vitals didn't match. Maya's documentation showed blood pressure of 87/52. Cardwell's showed 128/78. Someone had altered the medical records. Doc made copies of everything. Cypher started with hospital employee forums, Reddit threads, Glassdoor reviews, places people talk when they think no one's listening. He found 3 anonymous posts from Detroit Metro Hospital employees, posted over 18 months. Working under VC is a nightmare. He blames everyone else for his mistakes. Lost 2 good nurses last year because he threw them under the bus. If you make VC look bad, you're done. Doesn't matter if you're right. He'll destroy your career to protect his reputation. Saw VC falsify a patient chart last month. When a resident questioned it, VC had him removed from the program within a week. Nobody stands up to him anymore. Cypher traced IP addresses, found the posters, reached out through encrypted messages. 2 responded, both willing to talk, off the record. Prophet knocked on Maya's hospital room door at 11 p.m. She was still there. They wanted to monitor her overnight, make sure the hypothermia didn't cause complications. "Maya, I'm Kevin. Friends call me Prophet. Rick sent me." Maya looked up, wary. "I'm a social worker, used to be. I help people document trauma, medical cases, abuse cases, situations where the system failed them." He sat down. "Rick told me what happened with Cardwell. I'd like to help you write it all down, every detail, so when we go after him, we have everything." "I already told Rick I know. But memory fades. Details blur. 3 years is a long time. And men like Cardwell, they count on victims forgetting, on stories getting fuzzy, on not having proof." Prophet pulled out a notebook. "So we're going to build proof. Together. If you're willing." Maya stared at him for a long moment. "Why are you doing this?" "Because Rick said you saved his son when 52 people watched. Because the system failed you. And because I've seen what men like Cardwell do to people. How they use power to bury the truth." Prophet met her eyes. "And I don't let them get away with it anymore." Maya started talking. Prophet wrote. They worked for 3 hours. When they finished, Prophet had 14 pages of documentation. Dates, times, conversations, witnesses. Everything Maya remembered about the night Walter Harrison died. About the medical board hearing. About the 3 years since. "You've been keeping track this whole time?" Prophet said, looking at the details. "I had to," Maya whispered. "If I ever got a chance to fight back, I needed to remember. I needed proof that I wasn't crazy. That it really happened the way I remembered." Prophet nodded. "You're not crazy. And tomorrow, we start proving it." 24 hours after Rick's call, the clubhouse war room looked like a detective's office. Documents covered every surface, laptops running, whiteboard filled with names and dates and connections. 103 bikers stood waiting, silent, focused. Iron Horse walked to the front. Ex-FBI knew how to build cases that stuck. "Here's what we found," he said. He clicked a remote. A photo appeared on the screen. Vincent Cardwell. Professional headshot, white coat, American flag lapel pin. Confident smile. Vincent Lawrence Cardwell, age 54, hospital administrator. Salary $412,000 annually. Total assets $3.1 million. On paper, untouchable. Next slide. Decorated Army Colonel, 24 years Medical Corps, Rotary Club President since 2020, Church Deacon at First Baptist, County Medical Board member. Iron Horse paused. But the pattern tells a different story. Cypher stepped forward. 28, IT specialist, youngest in the room. 4 formal complaints filed against Cardwell in the past 6 years, Cypher said. All dismissed by the medical board. Want to guess who voted to dismiss them? Cardwell, someone said. Every single time. He votes on his own cases. Cypher pulled up hospital records. Staff turnover under Cardwell's administration is the highest in the region. In 18 years, 8 paramedics lost their licenses after mistakes Cardwell blamed on them. 3 residents had careers destroyed. 1 nurse committed suicide. The room went cold. Medicare fraud investigation was opened in 2019, Cypher continued. Someone reported unusual billing patterns from Cardwell's department. Investigation was dropped 6 months later. No explanation given. But I found the original complaint, filed by a resident named Michael Chen. Doc spoke. Vietnam medic. 65 years carrying knowledge from field hospitals. I talked to 5 former hospital staff, off the record. Same story every time. Doc's voice was flat, controlled. Cardwell makes mistakes, blames subordinates, uses his credentials, Army Colonel, medical administrator, board member, to be believed. Who are you going to trust? Him or the paramedic with 3 years' experience? Rick listened, arms crossed, jaw tight. Maya mentioned a patient, Rick said. Walter Harrison. Iron Horse nodded, pulled up a file. November 3rd, 2021. Walter Harrison, 71. Vietnam veteran. Came to ER at 10:47 p.m. with severe abdominal pain. Vincent Cardwell diagnosed constipation, sent him home with laxatives. Walter died 8 hours later. Ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm. Family sued. Hospital settled for $1.2 million. He pulled up Maya's documentation. But look at this. Maya documented everything. Patient vitals. Blood pressure 87/52, heart rate 118. She wrote, and I quote, paramedic assessment suggests possible AAA rupture. Recommend immediate CT and vascular surgery consult. Doc stepped forward. Cardwell overruled her, Doc said. Never ran the CT. Never ordered blood work. Sent a man having a catastrophic internal bleed home with Miralax. The room was silent. Then Cardwell altered the medical records, Cypher said, after the lawsuit was filed. Changed Maya's notes to make it look like she told him the patient was constipated. Fabricated documentation. Then testified to the medical board that Maya appeared impaired on duty. Said she smelled of alcohol, was slurring words. Was she? Hammer asked. No. Doc's voice was hard. I talked to 4 paramedics who worked that shift. Maya was sober, sharp, did everything by protocol. Cardwell lied under oath to destroy her. Rick's hands curled into fists. There's more, Iron Horse said quietly. He pulled up 4 new files. Maya's not the first victim. First file appeared on screen. Military photo. Young woman in Army uniform. Captain Lisa Martinez, Army Nurse Corps, served under Cardwell in Iraq 2007 to 2008. During a combat casualty surgery, Cardwell clamped the wrong artery. Patient bled out. Cardwell blamed Martinez, said she handed him the wrong instrument. She was court-martialed, dishonorably discharged. Case sealed under military law. Iron Horse's voice didn't change, but the weight in the room did. Lisa Martinez now works as a home health aide in Phoenix, Arizona. Makes $16 an hour. Has a dishonorable discharge on her record. Can't get nursing jobs. Can't use her GI Bill. Can't get VA benefits. Second file. Dr. Michael Chen, ER resident at Detroit Metro, 2018 to 2019. Caught Cardwell falsifying billing codes, upcoding procedures for higher Medicare reimbursement. Medicare fraud. Chen reported it to hospital administration. Pause. Cardwell accused Chen of stealing medications, planted evidence in Chen's locker. Fentanyl vials. Chen's residency was terminated. He works at an urgent care clinic in Reno now. The black mark on his record prevents him from getting hospital positions. He'll never be a full emergency physician. Third file. Paramedic James Crawford, senior ER paramedic, 2019 to 2020. Witnessed Cardwell verbally abusing a homeless veteran with PTSD. Crawford reported him to HR. Iron Horse looked around the room. Cardwell claimed Crawford was stealing narcotics. Fabricated documentation showing missing doses on Crawford's shifts. Crawford was fired. Investigated by the DEA for 16 months. Was he cleared? Someone asked. Yes, but the damage was done. He took a job in Michigan's Upper Peninsula at 65% of his previous salary, moved 300 miles away to escape the stigma. Fourth file appeared. A woman, mid-30s, nurse's scrubs. Nurse Amanda Price. Witnessed Cardwell's negligence lead to a patient's death in 2020. Attempted to file a formal complaint. Within 2 weeks, Cardwell accused her of documentation fraud. Said she was falsifying patient records. She was fired. Lost her nursing license for 14 months while the board investigated. Was she guilty? Hammer asked. No. But by the time they cleared her, she'd lost her house, her savings, her marriage. She works at a nursing home now, night shift, makes half what she used to. The room was dead silent. 4 victims in 24 hours of searching, Rick said. 4 victims we know about, Iron Horse corrected. There are probably more. Cardwell's been doing this for at least 18 years. Prophet spoke from the back. Former social worker. Knew trauma when he saw it. I spent 8 hours with Maya yesterday, Prophet said. Helped her document everything. Dates, times, conversations. She's been keeping a journal, writing down details so she wouldn't forget if she ever got a chance to fight back. He held up a notebook, water-stained, pages worn. She's been carrying this for 3 years. Everything that happened, everyone who failed her. Prophet opened to a marked page. She also recorded something 4 weeks ago. Conversation she overheard between Cardwell and the hospital board chair. Every head turned. Prophet connected his phone to the speakers, hit play. The audio was scratchy, low quality, but audible. A man's voice, professional, concerned. Vincent, the Harrison family attorney, is still asking questions. They want to reopen the case, saying new evidence suggests the paramedics' notes were accurate. Vincent Cardwell's voice came through, smooth, confident, dismissive. Greg, that case is sealed. The settlement agreement is ironclad. Torres signed away her rights. Even if her notes were accurate, which I dispute, she has no standing to sue. Pause. Sound of footsteps. Another voice. The board chair. But if the medical board reviews it... Cardwell laughed. The sound made several brothers flinch. Greg, I am the medical board. I vote on licensing complaints. You think I'd vote to exonerate someone I personally testified against? My credibility is on the line. Silence on the recording. Besides, Cardwell continued, Torres is homeless now. I saw her digging in a dumpster behind Arby's 3 weeks ago. No lawyer will take her case. She's what you'd call a non-credible witness. The board chair's voice, relieved. Exactly. The system worked, Greg. And if she tries to go public, who's going to believe a homeless woman with a revoked paramedic license over a decorated Army colonel and hospital administrator? This isn't complicated. I protected the hospital. I protected my career. I removed a problematic employee. Everyone wins. Pause. Well, everyone who matters. The recording ended. The silence lasted 7 seconds. Then Hammer spoke, voice low, dangerous. He called her a non-credible witness. After he destroyed her life, Doc said. After he made her homeless. After he took everything. He called her non-credible because he made her that way. We have 4 victims we can prove, Iron Horse said. We have medical records showing Cardwell altered documentation. We have financial evidence of Medicare fraud. We have that recording admitting he votes on his own cases. And we have Maya, who just saved a drowning kid with field medicine most paramedics couldn't perform. Rick looked around the room. At 103 men who'd given up 24 hours to investigate a woman they'd never met. County Medical Board meets Friday morning, Iron Horse said. Public meeting. We show up with evidence, with witnesses, with that recording. We force them to reopen Maya's case. They'll try to shut us down, someone said. That's why all 103 of us are going to be there, Rick said. Clean clothes, no cuts, business casual. We sit quietly. We present evidence. We let the system work. Cypher raised his hand. And if the system doesn't work? Rick's smile was cold. Then every news station in Michigan gets copies of everything by Friday afternoon. Channel 4, Channel 7, Detroit Free Press, Bridge Magazine. We blow this so wide that the medical board has to act or face public outrage. Can you find the previous victims? Rick asked Iron Horse. Get them to testify? Already done. Lisa Martinez is flying in from Phoenix tomorrow. Lands at Detroit Metro at 7 p.m. Michael Chen is driving from Nevada. Should be here Thursday. James Crawford is 4 hours north in Marquette. Amanda Price is in Grand Rapids. All 4 agreed to testify. Witnesses from the marina? Rick asked. Prophet pulled out his notes. I collected 8 statements yesterday. Door to door around Riverside Marina. He read from the first page. Patricia Brennan, age 54, high school swim coach, lives 4 blocks from the marina. She was walking her dog when Danny fell through. 70 feet away, she heard the ice crack. Saw Danny go under. Prophet looked up. She called 911 at 4:31 p.m., 3 minutes after Danny went into the water. That's documented on the 911 recordings. She also started recording video on her phone. She submitted the video to news stations yesterday. His voice hardened. Mrs. Brennan coached Danny in competitive swimming 4 years ago. She recognized him, knew his name. Watched a 16-year-old kid she'd trained drown while she recorded it for Channel 7 News. Someone cursed quietly. Second statement, Frank Kowalski, age 41, Marina Maintenance Supervisor at Riverside Marina, former volunteer firefighter. Certification lapsed 4 years ago, but still trained in ice rescue. Prophet read Kowalski's quote, I saw the ice warning signs were down. They'd blown over in the storm the night before. I watched Danny walk onto the ice. I was going to tell him to get off, but my shift was ending in 15 minutes. I figured someone else would say something. Then I heard the ice crack. Prophet looked around the room. Frank Kowalski stood on the marina dock, 90 feet from where Danny went under. He had rescue rope in the equipment shed. He had flotation rings. He had everything needed for ice rescue. The shed was 200 feet away. He never moved. Third statement. David Torres, age 32, county paramedic, off duty that day, ice fishing 300 feet from shore, trained in ice rescue, certified in cold water emergency response. Prophet read Torres's statement word for word. I'm off duty. I don't have my gear. Ice rescue requires specialized equipment. I could have died too. I did what I was supposed to do. I called 911 and waited for the rescue team. Prophet set the paper down. David Torres is a trained paramedic. He's responded to 4 ice rescue calls in his career. He knows the protocols. He stood on the ice with fishing equipment and watched Danny die. Then watched Maya, who had no training in ice rescue, no equipment, and was hypothermic from living in a car, do what he was trained to do. The room felt heavy. Fourth statement, Prophet continued. Monica Chen, age 43, insurance claims processor, lives on Riverside Drive with her husband and 3 kids. His voice softened. Monica used to babysit Danny when he was 9 to 11 years old, before his mother died. Monica knew Danny, knew his mom, recognized him on the ice that day. He read her statement. I saw Danny crawling toward open water. I recognized him even from the parking lot. I started running toward the marina. My husband grabbed my arm. He said, "That's not our problem, Monica. We have our own kids to think about." So I stopped. I got my phone out and I filmed. Prophet looked up, met Rick's eyes. Monica Chen filmed through her phone from her car while Danny, a boy she used to make sandwiches for, a boy whose mother she'd prayed with during hospice, drowned 50 feet from shore. Prophet closed the notebook. She submitted this statement, crying. She said, I knew Rebecca. I watched her son die while I stood there like a statue. The room held its breath. Rick spoke, voice low, controlled. 52 people stood on that marina, phones in their hands, recording, calling 911, waiting for someone else to act. My son was clinically dead for 5 minutes because not one of them had the courage Maya did. Hammer stood, club elder, voice of wisdom. Medical board meets Friday, 9 a.m., County Administrative Building. We show up, all 103 of us. We present evidence. We demand they reopen Maya's case and investigate Cardwell. Not a protest, Rick emphasized. Peaceful assembly. We're there to bear witness, to make sure they can't sweep this under the rug the way they did 4 times before. What about Maya? Doc asked. She stays away from the meeting, Rick said. If she's there, Cardwell's lawyer claims intimidation. We do this without her. Get her license back. Get Cardwell investigated. Then we bring her home. Hammer looked around. All in favor of full mobilization Friday morning. The room went quiet. 103 men, all wearing their cuts, all waiting for exactly 3 seconds. Nothing. Just the hum of the refrigerator. Distant traffic outside. Then, every single hand went up. Not one hesitation, not one dissent. 103 men voting unanimously to help a 25-year-old woman they'd never met, because she saved one of their own. Because blood debt is sacred. Because protecting people the system failed is what brotherhood means. Friday morning, February 14th, 8:47 a.m. The county administrative building parking lot was empty when the first motorcycles arrived. Then the rumble started. Low at first, distant, like thunder rolling across frozen ground. Then it grew into a roar. 4x4, tight formation. 103 Harley-Davidsons pulled into the lot. Riders wore jeans, button-down shirts, clean boots, no cuts, no patches. Just men who'd coordinated across 5 chapters to arrive at exactly 8:52 a.m. They parked in perfect rows, military precision, engines cutting off in sequence until the parking lot fell silent. The sudden quiet after all that noise felt heavy, expectant. 103 men walked toward the building. No shouting, no signs, no aggression, just quiet, disciplined movement. Inside, the county medical board sat at the front table, 5 members. Dr. Gregory Marsh, board chair, cardiologist. Dr. Patricia Vance, pediatrician. Dr. Kenneth Liu, surgeon. Dr. Amanda Foster, family medicine. And Vincent Lawrence Cardwell, second from the left, reviewing papers, confident. He looked up when the doors opened, and kept looking as 103 men filed into the public seating area, filling every chair, lining the back wall, standing along the sides, silent, watching. Cardwell's face went from tan to pale in 4 seconds. Dr. Marsh cleared his throat, adjusted his glasses. "This is a public meeting, but we ask that all attendees maintain decorum." "We're here to observe," Iron Horse said from the front row, "and to present evidence during the public comment period." Dr. Marsh looked at the crowd, at Cardwell, back at his agenda. "Very well. This meeting of the County Medical Board is called to order." Routine business took 47 minutes. Budget approvals, licensing renewals, protocol updates. Cardwell kept glancing at the silent crowd, sweat visible on his forehead despite the air conditioning. At 9:41 a.m., Dr. Marsh announced, "We now open the floor for public comment. Each speaker has 3 minutes." Iron Horse stood, walked to the podium, set down a thick folder. Marcus Webb, 26 years FBI, Investigative Division, retired special agent. "I'm here regarding the case of Maya Elizabeth Torres. Paramedic license revoked March 22, 2022, following testimony from Vincent Cardwell." Cardwell sat perfectly still, face blank. "Ms. Torres was held responsible for the wrongful death of Walter Anthony Harrison, who died November 3, 2021, from a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm that Vincent Cardwell failed to diagnose. The hospital settled the wrongful death lawsuit for $1.2 million. The settlement agreement specifically named Ms. Torres as the negligent party." Iron Horse opened the folder. "However, I have Ms. Torres's original documentation from that shift, time-stamped, documented in the electronic medical record system." He slid printed notes across the table to Dr. Marsh. "She performed a full assessment on Mr. Harrison. She documented blood pressure of 87/52, heart rate 118, rigid abdomen, pain radiating to the back, and she wrote, I'm reading verbatim, paramedic assessment suggests possible AAA rupture. Recommend immediate CT abdomen/pelvis with contrast and vascular surgery consult." Dr. Marsh was reading the documents, his expression darkening with each line. "Vincent Cardwell overruled that recommendation," Iron Horse continued. "No CT was performed. No vascular consult was called. Mr. Harrison was diagnosed with constipation and sent home with laxatives. He died 8 hours later." Dr. Marsh looked up, looked at Cardwell. "Furthermore," Iron Horse said, "Vincent Cardwell testified to this board that Miss Torres appeared impaired on duty that night. He stated she smelled of alcohol and was slurring her words." He laid out 4 more documents. "I have sworn affidavits from 4 paramedics who worked that same shift: Jennifer Parks, Michael Thompson, Rebecca Stein, Carlos Rodriguez. All 4 state that Maya Torres was completely sober, alert, professional, and performed her duties flawlessly." Someone on the board shifted uncomfortably, I'm also presenting evidence of a pattern, Iron Horse said. He laid out 4 files, each one color-coded. Captain Lisa Martinez, dishonorably discharged from the Army in 2008 after Vincent Cardwell blamed her for his surgical error during combat operations. He laid out the second file, Dr. Michael Chen, residency terminated in 2019 after he discovered Vincent Cardwell falsifying Medicare billing codes. Third file, paramedic James Crawford, fired in 2020 after he reported Vincent Cardwell for patient abuse. Fourth file, nurse Amanda Price, lost her license for 14 months in 2021 after she witnessed Vincent Cardwell's negligence lead to a patient's death. Dr. Marsh was no longer reading. He was staring at Cardwell. "These allegations are serious," Dr. Marsh said slowly. "But this is—" "I have sworn testimony from all 4 victims," Iron Horse interrupted. "All 4 are here today, in this room, ready to testify under oath." From the crowd, 4 people stood. A woman in her 40s, Hispanic, wearing a Target employee vest, Lisa Martinez. A young man in a button-down shirt, Asian American, glasses, Michael Chen. A man in his 30s, paramedic uniform, James Crawford. A woman in her late 30s, blonde, nurse's scrubs, Amanda Price. Cardwell's face went white. "Finally," Iron Horse said, "I have a recording, 4 weeks old, a conversation between Vincent Cardwell and Dr. Gregory Marsh. That's you, sir, discussing Maya Torres's case." Dr. Marsh's eyes widened. Iron Horse connected his phone to the room's speaker system, hit play. Vincent Cardwell's voice filled the room, clear, confident, damning. "Greg, that case is sealed." Torres signed away her rights. Even if her notes were accurate, which I dispute, she has no standing. Pause. "But if the medical board reviews it?" Cardwell laughed on the recording. Several board members flinched. "Greg, I am the medical board. I vote on licensing complaints. You think I'd vote to exonerate someone I personally testified against? My credibility is on the line." Silence. "Besides, Torres is homeless now. I saw her digging in a dumpster 3 weeks ago. No lawyer will take her case. She's a non-credible witness." Dr. Marsh's voice on the recording. "Exactly. The system worked, Greg. And if she tries to go public, who's going to believe a homeless woman with a revoked paramedic license over a decorated Army colonel and hospital administrator? This isn't complicated. I protected the hospital. I protected my career. I removed a problematic employee. Everyone wins." Pause. Well, everyone who matters. The recording ended. The silence lasted 9 seconds. Then Dr. Marsh spoke, voice shaking. "Vincent, you are hereby suspended from this board, effective immediately, pending a full investigation into these allegations. This meeting is—" "You can't suspend me," Cardwell said, standing. "I have rights. I have—" "Sit down, Vincent," Dr. Marsh said, "or I will have security remove you." Cardwell looked at the 103 men sitting in perfect silence, at Iron Horse standing at the podium, at the 4 previous victims still standing. He sat down. Dr. Marsh looked at the crowd, at Iron Horse. "The board will review all evidence presented here today. We will reconvene in 72 hours with a decision on whether to reopen Maya Torres's case. We will also be forwarding these materials to the county prosecutor's office for review of potential criminal charges." Iron Horse nodded. "Thank you." He returned to his seat. 103 men stood as one, filed out as quietly as they'd entered. Not one word spoken, but the message was clear. We'll be watching. That afternoon, 2 Detroit police detectives arrived at 4782 Lakeshore Drive. White colonial, 2 stories, manicured lawn even in winter, American flag by the front door. Property records showed purchase price $920,000. Vincent Cardwell was in his garage, Saturday afternoon, working on his boat motor, grease on his hands, reading glasses perched on his nose, whistling while he adjusted a carburetor. The same hands that had signed documents destroying 4 people's careers. Detective Sarah Vance knocked on the open garage door. Cardwell looked up, mildly annoyed, like someone had interrupted his weekend hobby. "Dr. Cardwell?" "Yes?" "Detective Vance, Detroit Police, Detective Morrison." She gestured to her partner. "You're under arrest for fraud, falsifying medical records, and perjury before the county medical board." Cardwell's wrench clattered to the concrete floor. "What? This is ridiculous. I have rights. I want my attorney." "And you'll have the right to contact your attorney after booking," Detective Vance said. "Turn around, hands behind your back." They read him his rights right there in his garage, in front of his neighbors who'd come out to watch. Hands cuffed behind his back, face pressed against the hood of his $94,000 Tesla Model S. License plate, DOCHART. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Cardwell was processed at county jail within 3 hours. Mugshot taken, fingerprints, DNA swab, charges filed officially by 7 p.m. Felony fraud, falsifying medical records, 4 counts. Perjury before county medical board, 3 counts. Grand theft, fraudulent Medicare billing codes, $63,000 estimated. Witness tampering, threatening previous victims. Bail hearing scheduled for Monday morning. Prosecutor recommended $350,000 bail for a man who'd stolen careers and livelihoods. It felt inadequate, but it was a start. Maya sat in her apartment, the apartment Rick had helped her get, when the news broke. Channel 7, evening broadcast. "Breaking news tonight. A decorated Army colonel and hospital administrator has been arrested on multiple felony charges, including medical fraud and perjury." Maya's hands shook as she watched Vincent Cardwell's mugshot appear on screen. Her phone rang. Rick. "Did you see?" "I'm watching," Maya whispered. "It's happening. Everything we promised. It's happening." Maya couldn't speak, could only cry. "You saved my son," Rick said quietly. "We're just making sure you get your life back." Monday morning, the county medical board held an emergency session. Vote to reopen Maya Torres's case. 4-0. Cardwell recused. Suspended. Tuesday, they reviewed all evidence. Maya's original documentation, the 4 paramedics' affidavits, medical expert testimony that Maya's assessment was correct and Cardwell's diagnosis was negligent. Wednesday afternoon, they voted. Maya Elizabeth Torres's paramedic license fully reinstated. All disciplinary actions expunged from her record. Official apology issued. Dr. Marsh read the statement himself. The board finds that Maya Torres performed her duties with exceptional competence and professionalism on the night of November 3, 2021. Her documentation was accurate, her recommendations were medically sound, her actions were appropriate and potentially life-saving had they been followed. The board further finds that testimony given against Ms. Torres was false and malicious. We deeply regret the injustice she has suffered, and are taking steps to ensure such abuses of this board's authority never happen again. Prophet was with Maya when she got the call, watched her face change from disbelief to something that looked like hope. "It's real," she whispered. "It's really real." "It's real," Prophet confirmed. "You're a paramedic again." Maya looked at her hands, the hands that had saved Danny. The hands that remembered how to be a medic even after 3 years of nothing. "What do I do now?" "Now?" Prophet smiled. "Now you get your life back." Thursday. Cardwell's attorney approached the prosecutor about a plea deal. The evidence was overwhelming. 4 victims, medical records, financial fraud. That recording. Cardwell couldn't win at trial. Friday morning, he took the deal. 10 years in state prison. No eligibility for parole for 7 years. Medical license permanently revoked in Michigan and nationally. Restitution of $183,000 to previous victims. Judge Maria Costello delivered the sentence with words that would be quoted in every news article for weeks. Mr. Cardwell, you were entrusted with the power to heal, and instead you wielded it as a weapon. You destroyed careers to protect your ego. You victimized the vulnerable to maintain your status. You manipulated a system designed to protect patients and used it to harm the very people who tried to hold you accountable. 10 years is the maximum this court can impose. I only wish it could be more. Cardwell was let out in handcuffs. Heading to Jackson State Prison, 3 hours from Detroit, far enough that he'd never accidentally encounter any of his victims. The week after sentencing, Rick pulled his truck into Riverside Apartments, Unit 2A, ground floor, 1 bedroom. Maya stood on the sidewalk, staring at the building like it might disappear. Same look she'd had when they told her about her license. Like good things couldn't possibly be real. Keys in your name, Rick said, getting out of the truck. Rent paid for 8 months. Hell's Angels chapters across Michigan raised $58,000. Rent, deposits, furniture, food, everything. Maya's hands shook. I can't accept. You already did. The lease is signed. Furniture gets delivered tomorrow. You have a home, Maya. She looked at him, eyes wet. Why are you doing this? Rick thought about how to answer. About Danny in that hospital bed. About this young woman who'd gone into freezing water when 52 people watched. You saved my son, he said simply. Blood debt gets repaid. This is us repaying. He handed her the key, first key to a home she'd held in 1,127 days. Maya's fingers closed around it. She started crying right there on the sidewalk. Rick gave her space, didn't try to hug her, didn't try to fix it, just let her cry. After a few minutes, she wiped her face. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank yourself. You did the impossible. We're just making sure you don't have to do it alone anymore. Doc handled medical coordination, got Maya an appointment with Dr. Patricia Chen, the physician who'd replaced Cardwell as chief of emergency medicine. Frostbite on your fingers is healed, Dr. Chen said during the exam. You'll have nerve sensitivity for another 8 months. Cold will bother you more than it used to, but no permanent damage. She wrote 3 referrals. Physical therapy for the frostbite recovery. Insurance would cover it. Maya qualified for Medicaid now that she had an address. Trauma therapy with Dr. Kevin Park, twice weekly, non-negotiable. And a 3rd referral Dr. Chen handed over with a smile. Detroit Metro Hospital is hiring ER paramedics. I'm on the hiring committee. Your license is reinstated. Your experience speaks for itself. You saved a drowning victim with field medicine most ER paramedics couldn't perform. Maya stared at the paper. I haven't worked in 3 years. You never stopped being a paramedic. You just stopped getting paid for it. Dr. Chen met her eyes. You're ready. Trust me. Profit drove Maya to her first therapy appointment, sat in the waiting room reading a magazine while she spent 50 minutes with Dr. Kevin Park. Tell me about the ice, Dr. Park said. Maya told him about the crowd, the phones, the 52 people who didn't move, about going into the water, about 13 minutes giving her warmth to a stranger. Why did you go in? Dr. Park asked. Maya thought about it. Because no one else did. You were starving, hypothermic from living in a car. You had every reason to walk away. I was a medic. Medics don't walk away. Dr. Park leaned forward. Maya, you performed field rescue and hypothermic rewarming for 13 minutes while dying of cold exposure yourself. That's not the action of someone broken. That's someone who never stopped being what they were trained to be. Maya cried for the first time since the ice broke. Dr. Park handed her tissues. 3 years of homelessness. 3 years of being invisible. But you never forgot who you were. They took your license. They didn't take your skills. They didn't take you. After the session, Prophet drove her to the grocery store, helped her pick out food for a full week, showed her how to make a shopping list on her phone, how to use coupons, how to budget. You're allowed to plan for next month now, Prophet said, loading bags into her apartment. You're allowed to believe tomorrow's coming. Maya stood in her kitchen, with groceries on the counter, and started crying again. Prophet pretended not to notice, just kept unpacking. Cypher handled the practical logistics, set up her bank account, the one that had been frozen for 2 years when she couldn't maintain minimum balance. Got her a new phone, iPhone 13. Not the newest model, but leagues beyond her cracked iPhone 7. Helped her create a resume that made her look like the capable professional she was, not the homeless woman she'd been forced to become. Put this at the top, Cypher said. February 8, 2025, performed emergency ice rescue and hypothermic rewarming that saved a minor from cardiac arrest when first responders were 13 minutes from scene. Maya applied to Detroit Metro Hospital on Tuesday. Got a call for interview on Wednesday. Interview was Thursday morning. The hiring manager, Patricia Wells, recognized Maya's name immediately. You're the woman who saved Danny Sullivan. I did my job. Your job ended 3 years ago when you lost your license. You saved that boy as a private citizen, with no equipment, hypothermic yourself. Patricia pulled up Maya's file. Dr. Chen recommended you personally. Your license is reinstated. Your references from before 2022 are excellent. When can you start? Maya blinked. I got the job? You got the job. ER paramedic, 2nd shift. Starting salary, $74,000. Can you start orientation Monday if you're ready? Maya thought about the Ford Focus she'd lived in for 1,127 days. About the library where she'd spent every day reading journals she couldn't use. About the cold that never ended. I'm ready. Iron Horse made sure legal protections were airtight. Restraining order against Cardwell filed and approved. 500 feet minimum distance. Not that he'd be free anytime soon. Documentation of all previous threats on record with the prosecutor's office. Witness protection protocols in case any of Cardwell's allies decided to retaliate. He's in prison for 10 years minimum, Iron Horse said, walking Maya through the paperwork in her new apartment. But men like him have friends. You see anything suspicious, anything, you call me, day or night. He gave her his direct number, programmed into her new phone. Maya signed the paperwork with hands that didn't shake anymore. Danny came home from the hospital after 8 days. Full recovery, no brain damage, no lung damage, no permanent effects from 5 minutes underwater and 79-degree core temperature. He'd been lucky in ways that shouldn't have required luck. Rick sat him down that evening. Living room, just the two of them. I need you to understand something, Rick said. You almost died because I wasn't there. Because I was at the clubhouse while you were on thin ice trying to get your mother's medallion. Danny looked down, guilt written all over his face. I'm sorry, I dropped it and I couldn't let it go. It was Mom's. I know. But Jake, your mom wouldn't want you dead trying to retrieve a piece of metal. She'd want you alive. Everyone just stood there, Dad. Danny's voice cracked. All those people. They just filmed. I could see them. I was drowning, and they just watched. I know. Except her. Maya. She went in. Rick nodded. She went in when 52 people were too afraid. She gave you her body heat when she was dying from cold herself. She saved your life. Can I meet her? Thank her? Soon. She's getting settled. She's been through a lot. But soon. 8 months later, October 12th, Saturday afternoon. The Hells Angels Detroit clubhouse looked different. String lights hanging between trees, picnic tables covered in red checkered cloths, 3 massive grills loaded with burgers, ribs, hot dogs, corn on the cob, music playing from speakers, kids running around with sparklers even though it was still daylight. 200 people scattered across the lot. Club members, families, friends, annual fall cookout, tradition going back 23 years. Maya Torres stood near the fence talking with Doc about a trauma case from her shift last week. Motorcycle accident, critical injuries. She'd stabilized the patient until MedFlight arrived. She looked different, healthy, hair clean and styled in a neat braid, color in her face, actual color, not the gray-white of malnutrition, 51 pounds heavier than the woman who'd crawled from frozen water 8 months ago. She wore jeans that fit, a Detroit Metro Hospital EMS t-shirt, sneakers that weren't held together with duct tape. Looked 25. Finally looked her age. The head trauma protocol you used was textbook, Doc was saying. C-spine immobilization, rapid sequence intubation, maintaining cerebral perfusion pressure. You saved that rider's life. I just did what I was trained to do. That's what makes you good at it. Danny Sullivan walked up with his dad. The teenager had grown 4 inches over summer, filled out from hockey conditioning, wearing his number 19 jersey with pride. His team had made regionals, wore his late mother's St. Christopher medallion on a new chain. Rick had it restored. Miss Torres? Danny said. Maya turned, smiled. Danny, hey, you can call me Maya. Maya, he swallowed. I wanted to thank you. I know I sent that card in April, but I wanted to say it in person. You saved my life. You already thanked me. The card was beautiful. I know, but... Danny looked at his dad. Rick nodded encouragement. You went into the water when everyone else just watched. You almost died keeping me warm. And I don't know how to say thank you for that. Maya put a hand on his shoulder. You're alive. You're healthy. You're playing hockey again. You're happy. That's all the thanks I need. Rick stepped forward, holding a wooden plaque. We wanted to give you something, he said. From all of us. From the Brotherhood. He handed it to her. Mounted on the plaque was Maya's Army Medic badge, the bronze one she'd pinned to her pocket that day, thinking she was going to die. Rick had retrieved it from the ice after the rescue, had it professionally cleaned, preserved under glass. Below the badge, an engraved inscription. Heroism isn't rank or title. It's action when no one else will move. Hells Angels MC, Michigan, February 8, 2025. Maya stared at it, at the badge that had defined her for 7 years, that she'd carried through basic training, paramedic school, her job, and 1,127 days of homelessness. Her vision blurred. We also wanted to tell you what's happened since, Rick said. He counted on his fingers. The hospital fired 4 administrators who ignored complaints about Cardwell. County Medical Board implemented new policies. No member can vote on cases involving their own testimony. Amanda Price got her job back at Detroit Metro with full back pay and a formal apology. Michael Chen was offered a residency position in Chicago. James Crawford is working as ER supervisor in Marquette. Lisa Martinez is working with military advocacy groups to get her discharge status reviewed. He paused. And the bystander intervention program you designed with Profit? The one where you talk to high school students about recognizing when someone needs help? 23 school districts across Michigan adopted it, teaching kids that filming isn't helping, that courage means acting even when you're scared. Maya held the plaque against her chest. I didn't do anything special. I just couldn't watch someone die. Hammer walked up, Rick's uncle, club elder, beer in hand. That's exactly what made it special, Hammer said. 52 people could watch. You couldn't. That's the difference between existing and living. Doc raised his glass. To Maya Torres, the woman who reminded us that heroes don't wait for permission. 200 voices echoed. To Maya. She laughed through tears, the first real laugh in 4 years. Prophet appeared with a folder. I have something to show you. He opened it. Letters. Dozens of them. Handwritten, typed, emails printed out. These are from students who went through the bystander intervention program, Prophet said. Read them. Maya took the first letter. High school notebook paper, blue ink. Dear Miss Torres, I'm a junior at Cass Tech High School. I took your bystander intervention class last month. Yesterday, I saw a man collapse at the bus stop. Everyone just stood there filming. I remembered what you said. I ran over, started CPR, called 911. The paramedics said I saved his life. I didn't think I could do it, but I remembered you went into the ice when everyone else was scared. So I did it too. Thank you for teaching me that courage is just moving when everyone else is frozen. Sincerely, Marcus Williams, age 17. Maya's hands shook. The second letter, typed, professional. Miss Torres, I'm a teacher at Southfield High School. Last week, one of my students noticed another student showing signs of self-harm. Instead of filming it for social media or ignoring it, she came to me. She said your program taught her to recognize when someone needs help and to act. We got that student into counseling. The school psychologist said early intervention likely prevented a suicide attempt. Your program is saving lives in ways you'll never fully know. Thank you. Mrs. Jennifer Patterson, school counselor. Third letter, crayon, elementary school handwriting. Dear Army Lady, my big brother said you saved a boy from drowning. I'm only 9, but I want to be brave like you. Last week, I saw a kid getting bullied at recess. Everyone else just watched. I told the teacher. The teacher stopped it. My brother said that's what you would do. Help people even when it's scary. Thank you for being brave. Love, Emma, age 9. Maya couldn't read anymore. Couldn't see through the tears. 23 school districts, Prophet said quietly. 47,000 students trained so far. Teaching them to recognize emergencies, to call for help, to act instead of film. You're changing how an entire generation thinks about helping people. Danny spoke, voice stronger now. I volunteer every Saturday teaching CPR to middle schoolers through your program. I tell them what happened on the ice. I tell them about the 52 people who filmed. And I tell them about you. About how one person moving can save a life. He pulled his mother's medallion from under his jersey. I wear this because Mom would want me to remember. To be the kind of person who helps. Like you did. Rick put an arm around his son. After Danny came home from the hospital, I had a hard conversation with him. About the ice. about the risk, about his mother. "Dad told me something I'll never forget," Danny said. "He said, 'Your mother wouldn't want you dead trying to save a piece of metal. She'd want you alive. And she'd want you to live like Maya did, to be the person who moves when everyone else freezes.'" Maya wiped her face. "I don't feel like a hero. I was a medic." "Medics don't leave people behind. That's what makes you one," Hammer said. "You didn't think about it. You just moved." Iron Horse walked up, holding a newspaper. Detroit Free Press, front page. "You should see this." The headline: "The Bystander Crisis. Why 52 people filmed while one woman saved a life." Below it, photos. The marina. The ice. Maya's badge. Cardwell's mugshot. "The article went national," Iron Horse said. "New York Times picked it up, Washington Post, CNN. Everyone's talking about bystander effect. About what happened on that ice. About you." Maya shook her head. "I don't want to be famous. I just want to work, to save lives, to be a paramedic again." "And you are," Dr. Chen said, walking up. She'd been invited to the cookout. "You're one of the best paramedics on our team. Your performance reviews are exceptional. Patients ask for you by name. Your colleagues respect you." She smiled. "And I heard Detroit Medical Center offered you a supervisor position starting next month." Maya blinked. "How did you—" "I wrote the recommendation letter," Dr. Chen said. "You're ready for leadership. You've always been ready. The system just needed to catch up." Prophet handed Maya another folder. "There's more. The 52 bystanders." Maya tensed. "Some of them came forward," Prophet said, "publicly, to apologize." He opened to a printed article. Local news. Interview with Patricia Brennan, the swim coach who'd filmed. "I coached Danny Sullivan for 3 years. I knew him. I recognized him. And I stood there with my phone recording while he drowned. I tell myself I was calling 911, that I was doing what I was supposed to do. But the truth is, I was afraid. I was scared of the cold, scared of the ice, scared of dying. And because of my fear, a 16-year-old boy almost died. Maya Torres wasn't braver than me. She was just willing to act despite her fear. I have to live with that knowledge every day. And I'm using it to teach my students that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's movement despite fear." Another article. Frank Kowalski, the marina supervisor. "I had rescue equipment 200 feet away. I was trained in ice rescue. I watched Danny Sullivan fall through, and I didn't move. I told myself the rescue team was coming, that it wasn't my responsibility, that someone else would handle it. A homeless woman with no equipment, no training in ice rescue, and hypothermia from living in a car did what I was trained to do. I failed that day. I failed Danny. I failed myself. I'm working with the bystander intervention program now, teaching people to recognize when inaction is the same as harm." Third article. Monica Chen, the woman who'd babysat Danny. "I knew Rebecca Sullivan, Danny's mother. We prayed together during her cancer treatment. I promised her I'd watch out for Danny if anything happens to her. And when Danny was drowning, my husband said, 'That's not our problem.' And I listened. I stood there filming while a boy I used to make sandwiches for died 50 feet away. I broke my promise to Rebecca. I broke my promise to myself. Maya Torres showed me what keeping promises looks like, what integrity looks like. I can't undo what I did, but I can make sure it never happens again." Maya closed the folder. "They're being too hard on themselves." "Are they?" Hammer asked gently. 52 people stood there. You went in. That's not about equipment or training. That's about character. And character is a choice. Danny spoke. I don't hate them, the people who didn't help. I was angry at first, but now I feel sorry for them. They have to live knowing they stood there, that they chose safety over someone's life. That's mature, Rick said. Maya taught me that, Danny said. In one of your school presentations, you said, fear is normal. Freezing is understandable, but afterward, you have to ask yourself, did I choose courage or comfort? And can I live with that choice? I think about that every day. Maya looked at this teenager she'd saved. This young man who was growing into someone his mother would be proud of. Your mom would be proud of you, Maya said softly. Danny's eyes filled. She'd be proud of you too. Dad told me about what Cardwell did, how he destroyed your career, how you lived in a car for 3 years. But you never stopped being a medic. Even when the world said you weren't. I couldn't stop, Maya whispered. It's who I am. Exactly, Rick said. That's what we're celebrating today. Not just what you did on the ice, but who you are, who you've always been. Someone who doesn't walk away. Cypher walked up with a laptop. The GoFundMe we set up hit $200,000 this morning. Maya's eyes went wide. What GoFundMe? For your education, Cypher said. People across the country donated. They want you to go back to school. Nursing degree, physician assistant, whatever you want, it's yours. Maya couldn't speak. You saved my son, Rick said. We saved you. Now the world wants to help you become whatever you want to be. She looked around, at 200 people who'd shown up to celebrate her, at the plaque with her badge, at the letters from students, at Danny, alive and healthy. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Hammer said. Just keep being who you are. Keep saving lives. Keep showing people what courage looks like. Doc raised his glass again. To the woman who went into the ice. To the medic who never forgot who she was. To Maya Torres. The crowd echoed, louder this time. To Maya! She held the plaque tighter, let the tears fall. Because for the first time in 1,127 days, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't alone. She was home. But this story isn't really about one woman's courage on frozen water. It's not about a corrupt hospital administrator finally facing consequences. It's not even about 103 bikers showing up to demand justice. It's about the 52 people who stood on that marina with phones in their hands. The swim coach who recognized her student and chose recording over rescue. The paramedic trained in ice rescue who chose safety over risk. The marina supervisor who had equipment and chose convenience over action. The woman who knew the boy and chose comfort over courage. 52 people made a decision that day. They decided someone else would handle it, that professionals were coming, that it wasn't their responsibility. And a 16-year-old boy died for 5 minutes while they watched. Maya Torres made a different decision. She decided that waiting was the same as killing. That inaction was a choice. That courage meant moving when your hands were shaking and your brain was screaming to stop. She wasn't stronger than those 52 people, wasn't braver. She was 25 years old, homeless, starving, had nothing left to risk except a life she wasn't sure was worth living anymore. But she moved anyway, and that movement changed everything. Here's what you need to understand. There are Maya Torres everywhere. Young people destroyed by systems protecting the powerful, people living in cars and shelters while those who wronged them sleep in expensive houses. And most of the time, we don't see them, because seeing them means acknowledging our own comfort, our own privilege, our own fear. Maya had been invisible for 1,127 days. Then she saved a life, and 103 people refused to let her disappear again. Here's what you can do right now, today. First, pay attention. Notice when someone's losing weight they can't afford to lose. Ask why when a good employee suddenly disappears. Question stories that seem too perfect. Second, ask uncomfortable questions. Are you okay? Is a start. What really happened is better. I believe you is sometimes all someone needs to hear. Third, call the hotline. Child abuse, domestic violence, workplace retaliation. If something feels wrong, report it. You can be wrong about abuse. You can't be wrong and silent. Fourth, listen when someone's voice shakes. When someone tells you something impossible, that a decorated administrator lied, that a respected community member is abusive, that the official story is wrong, listen. Actually listen. Fifth, be willing to be the only one. Maya went into that water alone. You might have to make the call alone, file the report alone, believe the victim alone. Do it anyway. Because here's the truth. The next Maya Torres might be in your town. The next Danny Sullivan might be at your local park. The next 52 bystanders might include you. And when that moment comes, you have a choice. Will you film or will you move? 8 months after that frozen February day, Maya Torres works night shifts in the ER at Detroit Metro Hospital. Saves lives the way she always knew how. She keeps the plaque on her apartment wall, right next to her reinstated paramedic license and her staff ID badge. The Army medic badge catches morning light every day she wakes up. Some days, when the ER is overwhelming and the weight of 3 years on the street tries to drag her back, she touches that badge and remembers. She went into the water when no one else would. She refused to be invisible. She saved a life, and 103 brothers made sure she got hers back. Danny Sullivan plays center for Detroit Catholic Central High School. Made varsity this year, volunteers every Saturday teaching CPR to middle schoolers. Wears his mother's St. Christopher medallion every game. And when people ask about the scar on his hand from the frostbite, he tells them about the woman who saved him, about the 52 people who watched, about the choice between filming and moving. Vincent Cardwell sits in an 8x10 cell at Jackson State Prison, learning what it feels like when the system you manipulated finally works the way it was designed to work. Not through violence, not through chaos, through evidence, through witnesses, through people who refused to let injustice stand unchallenged. Maya doesn't hate him anymore. She told her therapist that last month. She just feels sorry for him. Sorry that he was so afraid of being wrong that he destroyed 4 people rather than admit 1 mistake. That's what fear does. It turns you into someone who watches instead of acts, someone who protects reputation over truth, someone who films instead of helps. Courage is the opposite of that. Courage looks like a 25-year-old woman who had every reason to walk away and didn't. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear that protective people still exist. Comment below. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us about a time someone helped when everyone else looked away. Or tell us what you wish someone had done when you needed help. Because these stories matter. Not for the algorithm, not for the views, but because somewhere right now, there's another Maya sitting outside another library, wondering if anyone will ever see her, if anyone will ever fight for her, if she matters enough to be saved. She does. You do. We all do. And sometimes all it takes is one person choosing to move instead of film, to act instead of watch, to be the one who doesn't walk away. The ice doesn't crack beneath Maya's feet anymore. The cold doesn't burn. The lips that turned blue in -14 degrees now smile at patients and colleagues and friends who see her as exactly what she is, a hero who never stopped being a medic, even when the world said she wasn't.